Yeah, and it's so awkward, isn't it? When you don't have a theme song, you just hit the button and it's just like
Like we're
nothing's
boom,
changed.
we're like live right now.
See, on your show, we sit through the theme song, right? We go off
Oh yeah,
camera,
right. Yeah.
right? We kind of sit there like idiots, and then we come on. We're like, "Hey, what's up, guys?" But this time, we're just like talking about shit. Just hit
Yeah.
this button. It's like, "Oh,
That
okay,
is
let's continue
so
our
funny.
conversation."
Yeah, it was just funny. I was just watching, and all of a sudden, yeah, nothing changed from like last 10
No,
minutes. We were talking. I see, oh, live. I'm like, hey, yeah,
yeah.
what's happening?
Now there's people watching. Hey guys, oh man,
Yeah,
there's so few
man.
people in my chat. Well, they'll come in soon.
Yeah,
Glenn
let's. Yeah,
Dennison and Moon at Noon are here. People like to show up late on my show. I
yeah.
guess they find the beginning lack of introductory theme song to be a bit awkward, so they like to just shuffle in. Okay, so tonight, folks, I have Bigfoot America Rob. Your name's gotten an upgrade, by the way.
Yeah, I
Hey,
seen,
Mikey.
I seen that.
Do you like that
No,
picture I used? Do you know who that was?
was that something from? I'm guessing it was something from the Avengers.
No, it's Lex Luthor when he was running for president.
Oh, was it? No, I didn't pick that up.
Yeah, Jason would get that one. Okay, folks, so we are here. Hey, be kind. Hey, we are here tonight. Amy's here. Oh, I haven't seen you in a
Hi,
while, Amy.
Amy, Mike A, Glenn. Hi, Moon.
Yeah, we need to get some of you guys up here on the show. I've been thinking that lately, Rob. Like some of these people in the chats that are like constantly showing up. I'm
Yeah.
like, why don't y'all motherfuckers come up here?
Well,
Get
I
in front
think a
of the
lot.
camera.
Well, I tell you that Be Kind has done it.
She's a
Well, in fact,
natural.
she did it with us, right,
Yeah,
on
she's a
Texas
natural.
show.
Yeah.
You know, I got to get Amy. I got to grab that Amy because I know she's got stories.
I've seen Amy up once before, and she's a natural as well. So
Hmm.
I think some of you guys could be naturals. Glenn Dannison, I don't even know what your face looks like. What you got to hide, Glenn Dannison?
Glenn Dennis is a good guy. There's so many. I
Yeah.
find probably same for you too. There's about 5 Glens in my chat rooms, all different Glens, and they're all really cool.
Hmm.
And yeah, the funny thing is, yeah, I try to picture what these people look like, to differentiate them.
Yeah, I
I
always.
so all these Glens have different like faces, which I'm sure in my mind what they look like, which I'm sure they don't look like,
Hmm.
except for their well, Glenn's got a boring G, icon, Glenn Dannison, and then there's Glenn Spirit Life Glenn, and there's Scotty B, and there's another Scott M. There's tons of Glens.
Don't you ever find it awkward, Rob, when you're interacting with someone in the chat and you're not quite sure if they're male or female based
It's
off their screen name?
very awkward.
So I'm like, I don't know if I should be flirting or giving you fist bumps. I
Yeah,
don't know.
or even referring like if they give a super chat, thanks, honey, thanks, thanks, girl. Yeah. Hey, Rob, I'm a dude, by the way. Oh, really? First time I found out in like the last 8 months. I always thought you were a guy or a girl or
Oh,
vice
Brown Dwarf's actual first name is Glenn? I didn't know that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Damn, that guy does not look like a Glenn. That's wow. Interesting.
Is he in here or Glenn Dance is yeah, Glenn Brown Dwarf is Glenn. I
Hmm.
didn't know that either until we sent out we did some emailing back and forth. I'm like, who the hell is this Glenn now? And then he had to say, oh, it's me, Brown Dwarf. So that was kind of weird. But I
Sorry,
tell
Brown
you
Dwarf.
what, yeah. So
Sorry.
it's hard for me to put Glenn on Brown Dwarf's name.
Yeah, sorry, Brown Dwarf. We've revealed your secret identity.
Yeah.
That'd be
Uh-oh.
like walking up to Superman being like, "Hey, what's up, Clark?" Superman would be like, "Yo, shut the fuck up."
You
Yeah.
know how I actually found I got a cool bandana from Brown Dwarf, and he made it. He had it made for me from I think it was his wife or his girlfriend. I don't know if he's
Mhm.
married or not. And I said, look, I'll pay you for it because the lady, the friend of his, took the time to make the bandana. And it took a little bit of time, and I got it. It was super cool. So I told him, look, I'll give him some money. And then he says, well, okay, fine. That's okay. Because I just told him, look, this ain't right. I feel bad. So I get it on PayPal. Yeah, it's like who is this now? Because he sent me his PayPal. I'm like, who's this? The guy asking me for money.
Yeah.
So I said, is this? Then I had to get a hold of him and say, is this you? He goes, oh, yeah, that's me. I'm like, oh, okay. I thought it was some clown. Hey, Rob, you owe me $50.
And you get a lot of those, especially on Facebook.
Oh, really?
Yeah, a lot of random assholes who show up and just try to add you as a friend because they got like 5 mutual friends, 5 of whom you have no clue who they are.
Oh, yeah. You know what I hate on Facebook is when you get the person that says, you somehow they became your friend or, because of mutual friends. And then they're like, hi, how are you? And I normally don't, if you're a stranger, I don't respond to those.
Yeah.
And then if I make the mistake and say, I'm okay, who's this? Hey, I'm sure you've heard today about how you can now,
Oh, yeah.
for $40, or have you heard about the great news that the government passed where you can get $10,000 just for applying, whether you're rich, poor, or in between? I'm like, block,
See, that's not what I do. I usually I will block them, but not before sending a certain picture of my body part to them.
Oh, no way.
Because they deserve it. I don't condone that act, but there are sometimes people who just, here's a picture of that. Take it, live with it, and now you're blocked. I can't even see your response. I don't care if you judge me. Doesn't matter. You're blocked.
Yeah, I personally think that's funny, but what if they took that, though, and then they posted it on Facebook?
That's why I never use my own
body part.
But I say it's my own body part.
Right, okay.
But they can usually tell because it's a different color.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, never mind. I'm just kidding, guys. I don't do those kinds of things. No, that would be terrible.
Or maybe it's a Sasquatch appendage.
Don't you hate it when like a very attractive lady friend requests you and you're like, oh wow, this lady is really impressed with me.
Yeah.
And then you get it, and then she's like, oh hey, and she wants to talk, she's interested in me, and then all of a sudden, hey, would you come to my link? And then you realize it's an OnlyFans site.
Yeah,
like, God damn it.
Well, being guys, I'd say, being guys, we fall susceptible because we all know that it is just some BS, right? So, well, we can swear on your show, okay? Some bullshit. Yeah. But I never accept those. I got this friend request from this. She was really hot looking. But what made me think that maybe it was not phony is because, hey, I saw your podcast, Bigfoot Michigan Rob.
Mm-hmm.
You're into cryptids, eh? And I'm like, okay, yeah, I am. How long have you been doing this? I'm like, for a couple of years. She goes, well, then she says, I'm a videographer in New York City. And I bounce between LA and New York. So now I'm starting to think, well, okay, really? You're tracking down some guy from the Midwest.
Oh, hey, Brown Dwarf just showed up, by the way. Sorry, Brown Dwarf.
Hey, Brown Dwarf.
We're sorry. You'll understand if you rewind this conversation. Anyway, continue. Sorry to interrupt.
No, so I'm back and forth, I said, why would you be contacting me if you really are from New York or LA, which is very big, movie studios? Mm-hmm. And okay, unless, so we were talking. And then, of course, it went into, hey, look, then they sent me the sales spiel, or you get the sales spiel about how you can turn all your money into crypto.
Oh, yeah.
And make $1 million. Yeah. Hey, are you sick or tired of making X amount of dollars a month? Would you like to turn what you make now into $1 million a month just to start? Yeah, we all would. I'm going to sign me up.
Mm-hmm. I get those.
But you know what? When you look back at it, there are people that actually do make $1 million a month doing stuff on online. It's amazing.
Yeah, they do. They do.
So you always wonder. So I always say about being open-minded about people's stories. I'm still open-minded about the fact that you can make tons of money on the internet. So I'll hear someone spiel then until I figure it's BS. So
yeah.
But yeah.
Speaking of hearing someone spiel, the reason why I invited you on to tonight's show is because of your book. True Cryptid Encounters, book 1. Right?
Yes.
I've read this book. I've had the pleasure of reading this book, and I expect that a good number of you folks in the chat have had the pleasure of reading this fine piece as well.
Yep.
Last time we talked about this book, Rob, I brought you one of my own personal favorite, I guess, in my opinion, probably one of the most fucked up stories
Yeah.
of the book. The one with the priest, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, what's that called? Southern Devil
Yeah.
Dog. Yeah,
Southern Devil Dog.
it's like the third to last story in the book. One of the things. Okay, can I give you my own personal review of the
Yeah,
book?
no, I love it. In
Okay.
fact, really quick for
Yeah.
everybody, because I know a lot of I'm looking in the crowd. Hi, everybody. I know a handful of people already bought it. When Amazon, I always say this in all my shows now, because I just found this out like last month. When Amazon gives you an email and asks you to review it, because yeah, we all get the reviews. I mean, everything I buy on Amazon, how about a review? And I don't review none of it. However, with the book, I just found out that if you got the book, and they just do reply to the review, because whether you liked it or not. And by the way, it's 5 stars still. I got no less than 5 stars in any one review so far, and they've all been really good. In fact, I like reading the views about people, and it's from people that aren't even in chat. It's people I don't even know, which are writing. Which is I'm starting to get excited about that. And other people outside of YouTube have been buying it now, and they leave great reviews. But anyway, back to my point about the review is much like YouTube is analytics, likes, comments, sharing, subscribers. Well, on YouTube, on Amazon, if you leave the review, good, bad, or indifferent, it helps push book sales. So now I've been telling people, look, if you bought it when Amazon comes calling, yeah, leave a review, and because that helps. So it's all analytics these days. The great Chevy Chase once said in that one movie, "It's all ball bearings." I don't know if you remember that one, but no, it's all analytics these days. Yes, Amy, I saw that. That's a fan. Amy left a great review. Thanks, Amy. So did Be Kind. Off the top of my head, Be Kind and Amy left great reviews.
I need to get Amy and Be Kind up here.
Yeah.
Eventually. Be Kind's already. She was here last week. Never mind. Oh, but I need her up here again. And I do need to get Amy up here eventually as well. There's still a lot of people I need to get up here.
Black Dragon, I think Semper. There is a Semper that left a review. If that was you, Black Dragon, thanks. Awesome. I think I do remember that's a familiar name, unless he means something else. I don't know. My vision's not too good today for some reason. I don't know. Probably because I just got up.
So I was very, I guess, I was kind of touched actually, Rob, when I brought up that Southern Devil Dog story, and you were like, so I guess you like talking about it so much that you actually did an episode devoted to it, and kind of me, because I brought it up.
I
was
did.
Like, oh, yeah. Rob was real cool about that. I was touched.
Oh, thank you, Johnny. That was meant for you.
Thank you. And I was there listening, and I thought it was real cool. Now, but I did mention how there was one story in the book that I thought was more fucked up. Can I bring up the story that I thought was even more fucked up?
Yeah, I want to hear this.
Honestly, I don't know. Objectively, in terms of like just bad shit happening, I guess the Southern Dogman story is probably worse because more people died.
Yeah.
The Dogman of Alabama. It was your second to last story right before the continuation of the Dogman Island story.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember that one, but it took place in like 97.
Yeah.
Larry, and what was his name again? Brody.
Larry Brody.
Right?
Yeah, you're going to have to refresh me because there's so many of them. But yeah, I'm sure I'll pick it up in a minute.
So Larry is living in Alabama, right? He is in which part of Alabama was it? Tuskegee, right? Tuskegee National Park. Like his house is on the edge. He has like this really crazy nightmare, wakes up in the morning and finds a pig on his front porch, just gutted, drained of fluids. Calls his buddy Brody over, who works for the park services, and he's like, and keep in mind, this is 1997. And this dude is like, hey man, me and my supervisors, we've been talking, and there's some stuff going on. There's this Dogman thing, and Larry, the narrator, is like, "What Dogman? What?"
Yeah, right. Mm-hmm.
right? And he tells him about it, right? They look at the tracks. He discovers that the tracks that he's showing him are the same tracks that he sees around his own property. So
Yeah.
he thinks that there's something to this. They plan on going on an excursion a few days later into the woods, bringing their camping gear, fishing gear. They have like weapons with them, right? They have like a shotgun and a pistol with them, and they're
Yep.
in there looking for this thing. And I think it was like the second day they set up camp. They gone fishing. They cut their own food.
Yep.
Now it's
Yeah.
like they're traveling through the night. It's almost sunrise. They see these tracks, and they notice that the tracks are fresh, and they're going towards their camp. So as they
Yeah.
go back, going towards the camp, they find that everything in the camp is all messed up. It's all cluttered, right? Everything's been fucked up,
Yep.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, Brody, he's like, "I'm sorry," and then he runs off. And then Larry
Yeah.
goes to
Yes.
chase him
Yeah.
and finds that Brody pretty much slit his throat from ear to ear,
Yeah.
like something like psychically like connected with him and
Yep.
forced him to do that just out of
Yeah.
the blue.
Yep. And it's like, and the thing about it is, he knew exactly what they were looking for,
Hmm.
and in fact, the park rangers were looking for it. They all knew about they behind closed doors were looking for these creatures for a long time, you know.
Hmm.
And it just so happens that it got close to his friend's house, and when he looked out, he saw the tracks. They all matched up, and he was really scared about it. And that was a sad story as to why this guy just went and offed himself.
Hmm.
I never could put that correlation together though, because I think he was doing his friend good. I think he felt that he put his friend in peril or in danger, but wouldn't it had been best had he stayed alive for this guy to help find this thing and kill it?
Unless something else was controlling him and made him do that.
A lot of the stories, especially when it comes to dog man, everyone talks about that telepathy, how it communicates to you to do weird things.
Yeah.
There's a couple other stories like that. But what type of hold is that it has on a person?
To make someone do
With
that.
Yeah, I mean, what type of hold? Sure, you got this entity in the woods that gets a hold of your mind and tells you to do something. Well, my point is that's a strange hold to have over a human being to make them do something just so nuts, right? I mean, and I don't want to get into suicide, but because for those of you that have experienced that with family or friends,
Mhm.
I don't know. And my heart goes out to you because my cousin committed suicide. But for somebody just to go ahead and just do that in the middle of helping their friend, that's a strong hold. That's a strong power that this entity had, which leads me to believe is some demonic force in the
Yeah.
woods.
What about that Southern Devil Dog story? That thing, if everything is to be true and to be believed, that thing forced that one guy to actually murder his own wife
Yep.
and then kill himself. So that's
Drove him
pretty messed
crazy.
up.
The Southern Devil Dog, I tell you what, that could be like a Stephen King book or it could be made a movie. Because, that's one of my favorite stories too. It has all the elements of this whole plot from the writer that sent this over to me, the storyteller. Alone, a church, a man that goes from town to town, a transient man of God, as he called himself, right?
Hmm.
But he's never can stay in one place and cannot get a hold, and he can't keep his congregation together anywhere he goes. So he gets kind of booted out, basically, all the towns he goes in. And then he finally comes across the town where he's accepted, except for that one couple. And
Hmm.
this couple would go to this preacher man, as it says in the book. Will you please help us? We're getting this every night. This white Doberman pincher looking entity with red eyes coming to our window. And it's telepathically telling us horrible things.
Hmm.
And then, of course, the preacher, right,
Yeah.
called him crazy. I'll hear no such thing. He told them to go seek mental help, go see a psychiatrist, and then told them not to come back to the congregation, not to come back to church until they got their mind straight. And then he would see this poor couple getting haggard, Weeks, months went by, and this couple's looking poorly. Their health is deteriorating. He's not allowing them in church, and they're begging and pleading with this guy to help. And then got the news that the husband murdered the wife and took the gun on himself. And now the whole town is for a moment all in silence. Then they have that congregation at town hall, have the town hall meeting, and they have this meeting with the priest there.
Oh damn! I'm sorry. Be kind.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but anyway, sorry. Be kind. So, but anyway, and then this has been happening in this town, right, Donnie?
Yeah.
The whole town knew about this demon-like devil dog that was tormenting not just that one couple, but the entire town, including the sheriff.
Man, I would have given anything to be a fly on that wall during that town hall meeting.
Me too.
I would have given anything to be a fly on that wall for that one.
Yeah, like and that story really tugged at my heart a little bit too. How you can turn away people coming out for help as a priest, a preacher, whatever you are. That's Rob. If I'm in help, that's the first person I would go to, especially if it's of a demonic. If you feel that you're being infiltrated by demons.
But like Jason talks about this, right? There are certain like very conservative branches of Christianity where they won't even engage those topics. So if you ever go to like a clergyman or a pastor with something like that, they'll just be like, "Oh, I think you might need to go on medication," because they won't even engage it because it's more like by the books, right?
Yeah.
There are certain congregations and certain denominations that are like that. Not all, but
yeah,
there are.
not all. But it's funny because listen, that's why I always tell people I'm not a religious guy, man. I grew up Catholic. I went to church, Catholic church, Monday through Friday, first through seventh grade, Monday through Friday, every day in church. Okay, Catholicism. As soon as I broke free from Catholic school, I have not been back to church except for funerals and weddings. I believe in God. Don't get me wrong. I'm spiritual. I'm not religious. I don't care about Catholic, Orthodox, whatever you are. I believe in God. And one day when I die, hopefully I go to heaven, right? In my mind, my version of heaven. So because I do believe in God, I believe in the devil. And these are the types of stories that really freak me out. That's why I don't like talking about. I used to watch the demonic stuff about the devil at night all the time, and I just started having. Well, no, like what I mean. I was not studying it. Like if the devil is involved.
No,
in
I'm talking about like horror movies and stuff, right?
Yeah, man. Yeah. I get the worst nightmares. I get that sleep paralysis moves in. I thought there was a demon in my own house. I mean, I can't do it no more. When I was a little kid growing up, I could stomach it and it wouldn't affect me. But I think it affects me today because of my beliefs today.
Which of all, because I know you're a horror movie guy, right?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I mean, it just depends now.
Which horror movie that you've seen in your life would you say gave you the most nightmares?
Anything
Not scared you when you saw it, but you just had nightmares for days afterwards.
Excuse me, The Exorcist, or any movie like that. Emily Rose. Anything that has to do with the devil and exorcisms.
Freddy Krueger gave me a lot of nightmares as a kid.
Well, that I could see because that was somewhat. It was about dreams, right?
Yeah.
When you talk about, I loved how the movie Halloween with Michael Myers. Mm-hmm. Love it. Love the movie. Friday the 13th, number 1 and 2, love them, but they didn't scare me. That to me was just some make-believe, kick-ass horror films, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Are there people like that? No, but there are certainly psycho murderers like that. But, no. So those movies, I found them entertaining. Today, I don't really watch them because now I just laugh at them. But anything that has to do with anything that's potentially real, and has to deal with demons, I watch with one eye shut.
What about ghost stuff? Not as bad, right?
Not as bad as the demon stuff.
Hmm.
Although I will say, it still freaks me out. I tell the blondes and the booze all the time, I don't know that I could go on a ghost hunt. Because I'm one of these guys. See, I brought stuff home a long time ago that was in my house that creeped me out. I was seeing shadow people in my house. You know that story, right?
Yeah, I remember that
Yeah.
story.
And I brought home an attachment from all of these trinkets that we bought over the years from like thrift stores and from those little villages where you go through and antique shops. But I had a whole collection of them, and some of them had some really weird attachments to them that I invited in.
So you
So
don't
that
think
stuff, does creep me out too, though.
so you don't think you would ever join like the blondes on a
Well,
paranormal investigation of a
no, I would.
they would make you.
They would make me basically.
Yeah, they would drag you. You'd be like, I
I'm
don't want to
sure.
go.
I'm sure one day I will be with them, in some haunted house or cemetery or somewhere.
Have you done Brown Springs yet?
Nope, never. I haven't done
Oh
that.
man, for as much as Tex loves to talk about Brown Springs, you haven't been there yet. Oh
I've been
man,
to Texas twice and never been to Brown Springs to see Tex.
we gotta. I'm pretty sure you're eventually going to wind up in Brown Springs.
I'm not scared to go to Brown Springs. That's got everything. I will go to Brown Springs for sure. For some reason, Donnie, that don't scare me. Like going to like when Tex went in that one haunted hill house and sat in that closet, egging on the devil to come
Oh
take
yeah,
him on. No, dude, that ain't for me.
no,
That's not for me. Because
Ugh.
all these years of studying this stuff and talking with the girls, if you go into a situation scared and your mind is scared, you're not yourself, that's where you're letting down your guard.
So you've never been to like an invest. Okay, so you've never been to an investigation of like a really gnarly haunted house before.
No.
Okay.
No, the only thing I've done to be close, which is the one thing I did do when I was a kid and even in my 20s, I was big on going to haunted houses.
Mm-hmm.
Haunted houses,
Like
right?
legitimate haunted houses.
Well, no, ones you paid $20
Oh, the
at the front
attractions.
door. Yeah.
The attractions. Okay.
However, though, the one that scared me the most was right around Halloween time. And this you had to pay to get in, but it wasn't where they guide you through. They would only bring in you paid for 2 hours, and I forget what the dollar fee was, and they allowed groups of 3 in at once, and you had to schedule appointments. And there was only like 4 appointments per night. I think it started right when sun went down and right when sun came up. And they scheduled out. You schedule, and
it's one of those hardcore ones.
When they let you in, you're in there for 3 hours, and they lock the doors, and you're not leaving.
Oh,
type of thing.
It's like one of those. Damn.
And this was a cemetery. This was in a cemetery, and it was the mausoleum.
An actual cemetery.
Actual, for real, with actual crypts and graves and everything else.
That
it went inside this spooky mausoleum, and there was coffins in there with bodies. Okay, and they said it was haunted. There were spirits in there. They didn't say whether they were good or bad, but it was up to you to find out for Halloween.
But then
But
then they would do things throughout the course of the night to like fuck with you while you're there, right?
Well, I didn't see any other human beings inside this place except for the 2 other people I went with.
Oh, so they just literally lock you in the haunted mausoleum.
They leave you there.
Oh,
there's nobody. There's no people running around in there.
Oh, I thought it was like one of those things where people jump out.
And if you were a ghost hunter back in the day, you could use those 3 hours to do your investigation. Some people would bring the equipment like the girls do, and some people just went for kicks, like I went for kicks. And I got to tell you something. It was very disturbing because I was just hearing inside my head these strange voices. They wouldn't verbiate. You couldn't understand what they were saying, but I was getting these weird thoughts like I shouldn't be here. What am I doing here? I don't like this anyway. How come Johnny talked me into this? I'm going to kill him. Literally, I thought that in my head that I wasn't going to kill him, but that's these types of really disturbing thoughts I was getting. And I wasn't the only one that got that. We were with two guys and one girl, and we were all getting very gruff with each other. We got so gruff with each other, we split up, like they do in the horror films.
Yeah.
You know how you're supposed to stay in a group. Well, I'm going to go this way. It's always the dumb person that runs away from everybody. And like, what do you do? We got to stay in a group, stay in a group. Just like that commercial, there's a running car. Remember that commercial? There's a running car outside, but they all go in the barn with all the knives hanging up inside the barn. But yeah, so we actually did that. We separated, and then we couldn't find each other for about 11 minutes. And the 11 minutes felt like an hour because we could not wait to finally get back in touch with each other.
Oh,
that was like creepy.
Oh, man.
That was creepy. And then there was another one I didn't go to, but there was an island, again, in Grosjean, like Dogman Island. Talk about Dogman Island. There's a lot of islands out there. And they dropped you off on an island late at night. There was another. Now they got sued. Now the people that did that on that island got sued for because of people getting hurt at night, walking around on an island, falling down, twisting their legs.
Probably
liability was very hazardous. And that was back in the '80s when people really didn't. It's not like it is today. You could get away with that. But this haunted mausoleum / cemetery I went to, I did this. It was probably, I would say, about 15 years ago. And that was pretty scary, pretty intense.
That would be scary. That was in Michigan?
Oh, yeah. In fact, it's it's about 10 miles from where I live, actually.
Are they still doing it?
It's still open, yep.
Maybe we should make a trip, Rob.
Yeah, I mean, if I went back today, I think we psyched ourselves out a lot more. Today, what I know today, I wouldn't be as scared, but I remember back then I was really creeped out.
Plus, you would be with more seasoned veterans.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So.
I've been on 4 paranormal investigations. 3 houses. One I did twice. I'll tell you the one that was by far the most fucked up. The Shanley Hotel in upstate New York. That place was all sorts of wrong. All sorts of wrong. I was there with Tony Merkel.
Oh, wow. I love that guy. I love.
Tony's a friend of mine.
The confessionals.
He's a good dude. One thing I could say about Tony, off camera, he is exactly the same.
Yeah.
Except he talks a lot more about basketball.
Yeah.
And we did get into a screaming match in the parking lot, me and Tony, because I said that grilled cheese sandwiches are stupid. And then Tony's like, "What? I grew up on grilled cheese sandwiches." And I was like, "Well, then your food was dumb." And then we got this whole argument about grilled cheese sandwiches. It was pretty funny. Anyway, so we go to the Shanley Hotel, right? It's in upstate New York. This place was by the Catskills. It was off the train tracks that led directly into New York City. And this was basically the safe haven and the headquarters for the Irish Mafia.
Oh, wow.
So during this time, they were running brothels and illegal casinos. So there was this one wing that was just a brothel. And when you walk through there, you're just like, yeah, I can see this place being a brothel, right? And then there's the gentleman's like poker area, like the casino area. And the number of people that have died there, it's like stupidly high because all the mafia killings, right? The 3rd floor were like apartments, rooms that they would rent out to like people passing through. Yeah. One of the people they rented it out to was like this notorious serial killer that killed all these people. Eventually wound up getting killed by a bunch of bikers.
Oh, wow.
We were in the basement investigating. They had all this gear and this shit set up and all these lights and whatever, all the gizmos. We had the lights turned off. And I'm sitting in the haunted chair, right, with me and Tony's brother. And you know, they got me on the thermal, on the night vision, and I'm looking over in this dingy ass, dungeon ass looking basement, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at the corner of the room, and right next to me, and there's this pile of rocks, right? This small pile of rocks. And I was like, hey, you know, I pointed to the lady that was like kind of the curator of the place. I was like, hey, what's that pile of rocks over there? And she was like, oh, that's where the prostitutes would dump all the unwanted babies.
Oh, you're
And I'd be
kidding me.
like, and you know what I did? I was like on camera. I was like in my chair. I was just like scooching away. I was like, damn, how fucked up can one place be? You know? Apparently, on the third floor is that place looks like a crime scene. There's no nothing. It's not livable. There's no heating. There's no insulation. Like everything's gutted. Like there's like actual like crime scene tape. And people go up there and they like some psychic mediums like they don't last there. They run out of there because
Mm.
apparently there's like a giant ghost spider.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, yeah, this place is pretty messed up.
Me and spiders don't mix
Yeah.
either.
Oh, and across the street is a New York State Penitentiary right across the street. So you know there's a whole bunch of bad juju in that whole area.
Yeah, just like around where I live. Amy is out in chat. She's probably heard of the Eloise. That's a mental institutional. They actually called it an asylum.
Mm-hmm.
Today, you can go in there and they take you on tours. But I had gone there. For a guy to know like ghosts, I've been to a couple whacked out places, right? I went there with these two girls or three of
Mm-hmm.
them because they were like ghost hunters. But this place, Donnie, this has been in Michigan for many, many years. In fact, it was back in the days where the mentally and the criminally insane went there and where they were experimented on,
Mm.
lobotomies and all that
Yeah.
whole 9 yards. Yeah.
Yeah.
And rumor has it that, a lot of the dead was buried in the basement. Here we are talking about basements again of
Yeah.
this sanitarium. And so they tore it down. They roped it off, condemned, do not, no trespassing allowed. Now today they built it up. It looks beautiful, except they kept a lot of the ruins. So again, today it's more for tourists. Well, I had gone there with these girls sometime, maybe a decade ago, or maybe in the 80s, late 80s, or no, it had been the mid 90s. And we got inside, we got underneath into the tunnel system towards the basement, but it was pitch black. Couldn't see anything. We had flashlights, so we kind of could traverse about, but it was very dangerous. So we said, look, let's get out of here. We all had very uneasy feelings. And back in the day, we had those Kodak throwaway cameras.
Mm-hmm.
You take it, boom, take the picture, develop it, and toss the camera. So we fired off all these pictures, many pictures, maybe let's just say 50. We're all excited. We get them developed next day. We all get together to look at all of our pictures. And every single picture, there was really nothing except for the flashback from the bulb and into these rooms. And we were taking pictures into rooms they actually had like gurneys in there. But there was one picture of a person, a ghost-like apparition, sitting up upright, and you can see him, the perfect silhouette of a humanoid or a human sitting at the gurney, staring at the person, whoever took the picture. We don't know who took the picture because we did random pictures, all the same type of cameras.
Mm.
That was very haunting, man. That was a
That's
haunting.
pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Mm.
So I told the girls about that one too, and they're like, wow. But today, again, not a place, it's a tourist place. Just like Dracula's Castle is a tourist place. That's a place I'd love to spend the night at. Again, for a guy that hates the paranormal or scared of the paranormal, I wouldn't mind going there either.
Well, I mean, if you had as long as you had your fellow paranormal brothers in arms and sisters in arms with
Yeah.
you'd
And
feel a lot safer.
but I have seen ghosts too throughout my life. My thing is more about the demons, though.
Yeah.
The demonic and
No,
me
I don't mess with that. No,
that
don't mess with
scares
that.
the shit out of me. I'm not doing that. I'm not going to go and try to manifest a demon. I'm not going to play a Ouija board I'm not going to go in the woods and put these, what do you call them, incantations out in the forest, summons the evil. That I will not do.
Mm-mm.
And those are the programs I can't watch either on TV or at the movies. That's where I get my nightmares. That's where my reality sets in. Because again, I believe that exists. It exists.
Well, my I guess personal philosophy on demons is that they are the scariest because they bring the most extreme consequences.
Mm-hmm.
But I also feel like they are also the easiest to beat in that they have more obvious weaknesses.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, perhaps. I mean, you're just talking about like
Yeah.
if the power of your beliefs
I feel
personally.
like they have their kryptonite, whereas like if you're dealing with like an alien, like what the fuck do you do about that? If an alien wants to abduct you, you getting abducted.
You're getting abducted.
You getting abducted,
Mm-hmm.
right? If Bigfoot wants to rip you in half while you're alone in the woods,
Now you're gonna
you
rip.
getting ripped in
Yeah,
half. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. You
I,
could,
yeah.
you could combat demons, I guess, spiritually.
Yeah, you
But the
can do
thing
stuff about demons.
you can fight them and you can
Yeah.
eventually win. Good always prevails over evil, right? So they
Hmm.
say. I still, it still is something I don't want to deal with.
You know what? To me, demons are kind of like syphilis. When you read about all the symptoms of syphilis, you're just like, oh my god, what a horrifying disease. But then you're just like, oh, thank God for modern medicine.
Yeah, I feel sorry for those pirates.
Oh yeah,
Arr, arr.
syphilis stories, man. Those
Ah,
were. Thank God we got rid of that. Jeez.
mm, oh
Anyway,
Lord,
okay.
but yeah,
There's another story I wanted to bring up in your book, Rob.
yeah,
The other Alabama story that actually I wanted to bring this one up because for a very different reason. I thought it was a fairly actually heartwarming story, in my opinion, because I could kind of
okay,
relate to this one. Let me find the title again. It was like in the middle of the book. You'll know it when I bring it up. The Alabama Anomaly. It's the story. Okay. It's the one where there's that one married couple, right? But they're both truckers. So they're
yes,
alternating schedules, right?
mm-hmm,
So her husband's away on his trucking route. So the wife stays home. And then the wife's away on the trucking route. The husband stays home, right?
mm-hmm,
Wife's home. She's hearing all this shit outside the house.
yep,
Stuff going on up on her roof, right?
yep,
She's like, "What the hell's going on?" She has no gumption, no freaking clue of cryptids or anything. She
nope,
calls the police. Police comes. She tells them what's going on. Police is kind of sort of taking her seriously, but not really. They're just like,
yeah,
"Okay, I'll look around." Nothing happens. Sounds continue. She's getting scared because she's alone and she doesn't know what's happening. And then all of a sudden, she gets a knock on the door one day, and it's this younger cop that she didn't see
yeah,
before. And the way he introduces himself, he's just like, "Hey,
yeah,
so I'm not here on official duty, but one of my buddies in the, I guess, precinct was telling me about your property, and I happen to be an amateur
yeah,
Bigfoot enthusiast. And
yep,
man, I'm not asking you as a police officer. I'm asking you as a Bigfoot enthusiast who can also, police skills. I will use my investigatory skills.
yep, mm-hmm,
Can I camp out here, ma'am,
oh yeah,
and investigate, look around for you, and see what's going on?" As someone, and then she's like, What's going on?"
yeah,
And then he sits her down and explains
yeah.
Bigfoot, right?
And then she actually calls to make sure he wasn't some crazy, this precinct. Hey,
But
is
he was
this
a cop.
really?
Yeah, he was a
Yeah.
legitimate, like he was a
So,
member of the precinct who just heard from his buddy.
yeah, so she verified that because she still thought it was a little strange, especially being by herself all the time. But yeah, go ahead.
So that evening, right? It's like she's in the house and he gives her instructions, like he's gonna do his thing. And he's got an emergency walkie-talkie, but for the rest of the time, she's in her house. He's outside at night with his little tent set up, and he's
Yep.
just walking around doing his investigatory things. At first, she thinks
Yeah.
it's kind of weird because he's doing
Yeah.
like tree knocks, right?
Yeah.
And
He's
like
doing,
recordings, taking pictures.
and then he told her, "Ma'am, I'll be making some whoops." In fact, they had two-way communication radios. Look, if you hear this weird sound, it's going to be me. So he would prep her in advance, so she wasn't going to be scared. when he yelled into the woods.
Yeah, and then eventually they found it. Well, they didn't
Mm,
find it, but like it actually had jumped up on her roof and she
yeah,
heard it and she radios him and he comes running to the house. He's
yeah,
like, and he sees like an outline of a thing on her roof and it jumps off, right?
yeah,
And
yeah,
you're like, oh my God, what's going on? But because of that story, not only does that lady become a lifelong Bigfoot enthusiast,
yeah,
but now she and that cop are like really close and they're like investigating together.
yeah. It
See,
was a
I
really
like
good
those
story.
kinds of stories, right? My question to you, Rob, is
Yes.
do you know who this cop is and can we be his friend?
I don't know who the cop is. I don't even
Oh,
know who the person is, you know?
oh. I thought that was you know what? At first I was like, is this someone we know? You know
Now
what I
it's
mean?
nobody we know. Yeah, well, I kind of wish it was somebody we know.
Yeah.
Kind of sounds like somebody I know.
I was like, is this what do I know this guy? Please tell me. Do we know him?
Yeah. And I tell you what, too, for people listening out there, there are some creepy stories in the book, but there are a lot of there are some heartwarming stories in the book where a lot of
There are
people came
some.
together, become friends, and a lot of families were pulled together, made closer. A lot of friends were made closer, and then again, on some instances, some friendships were torn apart. Right,
Well,
and
I the interesting thing that I noticed was for me was that a lot of these stories they come from the perspective of people who had no idea what a cryptid or Bigfoot
yeah,
even was.
yeah,
But then they have their encounter and now they're just obsessed with it,
yeah. 90%. Yeah, you're right.
right?
That's what I loved about it. It's their very first time, and like you say, none of these people. First of all, none of them knew what a dog man was. Some of them could flip a coin on Bigfoot. Hell, half of them probably didn't even see the Patterson Gimlin film or the Leonard Nimoy In Search of. And that's how I found out about Bigfoot years ago. And so that was pretty interesting too about these and I still get them today because I'm starting on book 2 already. And and yes, I liked it how they were just random, no interest, and boom, they got to tell their story. That's what I liked about it.
Yeah, you can kind of relate to that because that's kind of what happened to us
Yes,
and people in the
exactly.
chat, right? If they
Everybody.
hadn't had their encounter, they would have no interest in the paranormal. I know this. You know this about yourself. I know this
I've
about myself.
I've said it before. If I didn't have an encounter with Bigfoot or whatever alleged Bigfoot, right? What I still call it today, because still don't know what it was 100%. I wouldn't have had a podcast. When I first wanted to do a podcast, it was gonna be about sports.
Yeah. You would think all this shit was stupid.
Well, that's stupid because I will say this, Donnie. Growing up, I did like horror movies, and
Mhm.
yes, I knew about Bigfoot, and I believe that it probably did exist. Even way years ago, I thought Bigfoot probably could exist. I thought that perhaps the Loch Ness monster existed. Those are the first two ones. The Loch Ness monster was probably the very first quote unquote cryptid that I really was fascinated with
Mhm.
because living on the Great Lakes, I love the water, and the Loch Ness monster was right up my alley.
And you like
And I
monster movies.
watched, huh?
And
Yeah,
you like the monster stuff.
yeah. And so I watched anything that had to do with Nessie or the Loch Ness monster. Everything I watched. And then I started watching, and Bigfoot wasn't really on TV that often. There was a lot of, and then we're talking
Mhm.
pre-cable. There wasn't the Travel Channel or Discovery. So whatever you got, you hung on to when it came on TV. And then as the evolution of cable TV, I think was in the 80s, right? And some more and more shows started popping on where we had an opportunity to watch, right? So I would always watch because I like the history part of things and I do like the monster stuff. And yeah, anything that was unusual or odd, oh, I was
Yeah.
watching. Now, with that being said, and even throughout my experiences with ghosts growing up, when I seen many ghosts, it still didn't prompt me to or being a paranormal investigator, having a podcast. The only reason I have the podcast is because of what actually I saw. on 2018.
Speaking of which, can I give you one criticism of the book?
Yeah, go ahead.
The fact that you included your own story in the middle, I was like, man, you shouldn't have done that because I would have preferred if you had just taken your story and just made that into its own book.
That's a lot of. Well, I mean, I don't know how many. I mean, you can only do
That
so
could be
much
its
with
own
that
book.
story. There's only so much you can do with that story, though.
No, but not just the story, but the events before and the aftermath, and maybe the year after, and the culminating in your what you're doing now and
Well,
how it
you know
led
what?
you.
I will tell you this, Donnie, because I am doing a personal. Actually, now that you say that, I'm doing True Cryptid Encounters book 2, but my third one is going to be my life's journey, though,
Hmm.
about my ghost encounters. So it's kind of along what you said. So talk about my ghost encounters. I'm even going to go through all the jobs I had, Ford, my
Yeah.
bar, and then how everything that I've seen in all these various places. I didn't see too many freaky things at Ford's, but at my bar, I certainly have.
I just wish you would have saved that one, you know?
Yeah, in
Yeah.
retrospect, that's probably a pretty damn good idea. But
But everything else was pretty but it was that part was cool. But also the thing is, I'm not quite sure because I know that's your story because I know you. I'm not
yeah,
quite sure if the person, if they didn't know you and they were reading that book, if they would have known that that was your story.
yeah, I don't think they would.
I don't think they would have, based
No, I
off the
don't.
way it was presented
Yeah, I try. I didn't really say this is my story.
at all. And besides, all the other stories were in the first person anyway.
Yep, yep. So,
So yeah,
so you'd have to be really slick to figure out that that's the author's story. But I didn't suggest that it was me. I just told it
no, there was
again.
no suggestion. It was just
Yeah,
presented as if it was just another story in the book.
yep.
So, I mean, yeah, I knew it was your story because I know you,
Oh yeah,
right? And I know that
right,
story.
right.
But the Dogman Island story was another good one for
Now
the same
that
reason.
one I would like to make a book out of.
Nah, man, you need to make a documentary out of that one
You know.
because yeah, you should make a documentary of it.
Yeah, it's another something to think about. I have so many different ideas.
Well, first and
Documentary.
foremost, you got to go there. You do plan on going there, right?
Yeah, I was supposed to go this past summer, but the guy I was supposed to hook up with bailed on me, and I don't plan on buying a boat because you need a pretty big boat.
So it's a boat issue.
It's pretty much
Can't
getting
you
there.
rent a boat?
Yeah, I could rent a cabin and all that, but I haven't made $1 million on my book yet. So
No, I mean, can't you get like? Don't they have like things where you can rent like fishing
well, you
boats
get like
for
charter
like a
fishing
day?
boats, sure. And then I'm trying to think. Well, just drop me off here. You can stay out here. You got a raft that I can take in because the boat won't get to the island. So you got to raft in or take one of
Oh
those
man,
little skiffs and skiff on in because
yeah,
your
it is
boat will end up on
complicated.
rocks.
Damn, that's a lot more
So
complicated than I thought.
yeah, so it's tough to get on.
So you need a person with like a boat and a raft.
I got to come clean with some dude and say, look, here's this story and this is what I do. Are you interested? You know, if you can find a person.
And be kind. Yes, it is. But the other reason why I like that story, the Dogman Island story, was the actual people involved in the story, because you could tell throughout the story that they're pretty wealthy or successful
Yeah.
because of the house they live in, the area. You're like, yeah, that's probably going to be a lot of money. These people are probably loaded.
Yeah.
And he was talking about his professional career. He doesn't quite indicate what the career is, but I'm envisioning in my mind's eye, he's like some executive in the boardroom. But all he's doing during these meetings is like sitting there, like obsessing over Dogman.
I know.
Because
And he
it's
can't
not
and he can't
until
tell
6 months
nobody.
later until he goes back.
Yeah.
And then he mentions how he's like, yeah, when I was in my regular professional life, I couldn't stop thinking about Dogman.
Yeah. No, I'm sure. I tell you what, I have email. These people are now they're like in their 70s now.
Mm.
They were in their mid-20s when this happened to them.
Mm.
And he came forward with this like 2 years ago, maybe three, maybe, and told me about this. And we communicate still back and forth because
Okay, that's cool.
he's got the book, and he even suggested I have so many more things I can tell you about it. He told me he gave me just like a very abbreviated short story so I could do the video. And then I told him, look, I'm going to put it in the book. Do you mind? He goes, no, hell no. And then
Wait a minute.
huh?
I just realized something. You don't need a fucking boat. Take the tunnel.
Yeah, right. You know,
Yeah, the tunnel go. You don't need a boat. You could go there
I
by
gotta
the
go.
tunnel.
Well, we have to go back. Well, I wonder. I wonder though, Donnie. Since they sold their house, they sold their house within a year. They're out. I wonder if they disclosed that to their agent that there was a tunnel
You got to ask them. You got to
that
ask them.
led to all this craziness.
You got to ask them.
I gotta ask him in my next. Yeah,
Shoot.
he might play. He might play old man on me and forget that.
Man,
He's
that
in
that
his
story.
70s now. This guy, him and his wife, both still alive too.
But if there's ever a place where we need to get our team, it's there.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, yeah, opportunities may stand in that way, but
Yeah.
do you think you can find out who that cop is, though?
I'll have to ask. You know what? I
Okay.
got many of the people I spoke to. I
It's
still have
like I
all their
want to be that.
contact
I want to be
information.
that dude's friend.
I'll get a hold of him. He just seemed like now he was actually a really in the sense of the word a trooper. The guy
Mhm.
was really a trooper because he was a state trooper. Yeah.
I think he'd be great on a podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, if you haven't read it, there are lots of other cool stories, folks. I'm sure you guys are just like, damn it, I need to buy this freaking book right now.
Yeah, I got to tell
Better
you, and
believe
it's
it.
pretty. And I tell you, many people, and I'm just saying this just to be honest.
Mhm.
I've talked to a lot of authors, being this my first book, that have bought it and they looked at it. They said, "Rob, you are kidding me. You're only selling it for $12.99." He goes, "You should be getting $15.99, $17.99." I'm like, "Well, it was my first one. I wanted to be very price conscientious for everybody, so that everyone can buy it." And then the other day, I was thinking, Donnie, I went into Barnes and Noble and I was looking at the magazines.
Mhm.
A $15.99 magazine, which has no content, nothing but advertisements, people are buying.
Mhm.
And I'm like, man, what a waste of money.
Nobody buys those shitty magazines anymore, except for like random ass people at the airport. Yeah.
But $15.99 for a magazine. I'm like, what?
Nah.
Ridiculous.
Don't ever buy magazines. That's
No, man.
such a waste of money. And then you read it once, and then it's not even relevant anymore, so you never read it again.
Yeah, so.
It's like
But no, it is priced cheap. I don't like to say cheap. It's a good price on the book. So
I do miss newspapers, though. Do
I
you ever
love
miss
the
newspapers?
newspaper. Yeah, I do. I
Yeah, I
miss
miss
it.
newspapers.
I still buy the Sunday paper if I get up early enough on Sunday.
Yeah, I used to read a paper all the time. Now I just got my iPhone.
I don't even know. Do they even have like these remember the big newspapers like the New York Times and thing? I don't
They
even
still
know.
have them. They still have
Hey,
them. I still
yeah.
see them in the convenience stores.
Yeah, they have maybe one or two. I think they're like $10.
Yeah,
Like just
that's a
Sunday paper.
dying business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I loved reading the paper though, especially the sports page. Growing up, I loved the sports, and that's what that was where I really learned. I should say learned to read, but really turned me on to reading was the newspaper.
Mine was comic books.
Well, mine first was Hardy Boys books. My mom, the mysteries. Okay.
Party Boys.
Yeah. And they had some good as a little kid, they were pretty entertaining. And then comics, Amazing Spider-Man and all that, I would get those.
Did you ever get like into like reading Stephen King books?
Yeah, the one book that I can never finish is It.
Really?
I can't get through it.
Because it was too scary or because it was too long?
No, I like Number today. Now today I don't have time,
Yeah.
but I had plenty of time when I got it because I do.
Mhm.
Back when I was really big time into reading,
Mhm.
I look for the biggest, thickest book that I could find because I
Mm.
really get immersed in it. I just couldn't get through it because I started getting nightmares on that one too.
Really?
Yeah.
No, a lot of
Another
people
thing
get put off at
it's
how thick it is sometimes, you
yeah,
know?
I like
I
it.
get
I
put off
mean,
by books,
it,
but
I liked it because there's so many characters in that book. It's just you have to have a really good memory and keep track of everything. So if
mhm.
you're not patient with it, I can see where people get bored with it.
What was your other favorite, like personal favorite Stephen King books?
That one and what was the other one? The Stand.
You got into that one as well?
Yeah, that was a good one. A long one.
Everyone says
Um,
like The Stand is their favorite of all like my Stephen King fan friends. They're all
yeah,
like, yeah, my favorite's The Stand.
yeah, that's okay. But my all-time favorite one doesn't come. Well, I gotta tell you, my favorite book though, which wasn't even a Stephen King book, was the Amityville Horror. That
Hmm.
scared the hell out of me.
The movie or the book?
The book, the movies weren't even close.
No. Margot Robbie was kind of fine in that movie though.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you're
Yeah.
going for the act, if you're looking for the pure
I'm just
acting,
saying. I just saw it for the first time not too long ago. I was like, damn, Margot Robbie was kind of
now
smoking back then.
didn't she play Wonder Woman?
No,
Who's the
she was
chick that
Lois
played?
Lane. She was Lois
Okay,
Lane. Margot Robbie.
okay.
Yeah, but when she was, yeah, she wasn't that fine in Superman, but when she was in Amityville, you're just like, holy smokes.
You know, chick I like is the one that was in that movie with Leonardo DiCaprio, The Wolf of Wall Street.
Margot Robbie.
Is that who that is? Okay,
No,
we're
is
on the.
that it? Is she the one? Actually, I never saw that movie, so I can't say.
Oh, you gotta watch it. It's pretty.
Actually,
It's
Rob,
crazy.
now this is the other topic I wanted to bring up with you that I said I wasn't going to tell you about until now.
Okay,
There's a movie you got to watch, and you have to
okay,
watch it soon.
okay.
Don't say you're going to watch it. No, you got to watch it soon because it's limited release. Like it's
Oh, okay.
probably going to be gone this weekend. Godzilla minus one.
-1.
Yeah. Have you heard anything about it? Have you seen the reviews? Have
I
you seen
have
the trailer?
not, and I got to tell you something. And I think you know this from a long time ago. I had never seen. In fact, me, you, and Jason were doing a show, and I had never seen any gorilla. Go how the Japanese say Gogeta,
Gogeta?
Gogeta. I'd
Yeah.
never seen Godzilla my whole life, not one single movie, except for
Mm-hmm.
the black and whites. The, the, the black and white Godzilla back in the 60s.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen that. We thought it was cool, but I've never seen any on the screen, the silver screen, not one, until I called up Jason about a month ago and I said, "You got to be kidding me about this Godzilla stuff you and Donnie love." Well, what are you talking about? He says. Well, the first Godzilla movie I saw, Donnie, was with the girl from Stranger Things that was in it.
Oh, that one. That's the
I
first
see.
Godzilla movie you ever
Yeah,
saw?
they made 3 of them, a series of them. So
Oh man.
I said, if you guys think this is so great, I thought they were stupid, dude.
Okay. That would be like this. Okay, imagine like this. Imagine if someone like your friend was a big fan of Metallica,
Yeah,
but you had never heard Metallica in your life,
right.
right? And the first album they show you is like one of their newer ones, and that's your first impression of Metallica.
Yeah,
And you're gonna be like, these dudes suck.
right.
But you're like, and then you completely lose sight of all the other stuff that came before, right? That's what that. Oh man, I didn't know that. I thought you were like a hardcore Godzilla fan.
I just not that I wasn't a fan. I never seen the movie. I never seen Godzilla. Never. I always wanted to get around to it, like we all say. I do like monster movies, and Godzilla's something that I just never got around to. I don't know the
None of
reason,
the older
Don.
ones. None of the old school ones.
Those the only 3 I saw was with the girl from Stranger Than. Those are the
Oh,
only 3
those
I've
those
seen.
those three don't even matter, dude. They don't even those aren't even Godzilla, man.
Well, man, you gotta turn me on before I see
Okay,
this
so okay,
Godzilla one.
let me tell you.
You
Let me
gotta
tell
text
you.
me a couple good ones then before I watch
No,
this next one.
you got to watch this next one because okay, This is an important film because for several reasons. Number one, in my opinion, it is probably the best Godzilla movie ever made. There's like 36 Godzilla movies or something like that. It's between like 35 and 40, I think. Best Godzilla movie, in my opinion, ever fucking made. And Godzilla started back in like 1954, I believe.
Was that
Right?
right now on Amazon or something like that?
No, it's out in theaters.
Oh, okay.
It's straight to it's just out. Not only that, in my opinion, best movie of 2023. Best film,
Really?
like legitimate film. Like not even if you're not even a Godzilla fan, if you don't give
So,
a shit about Godzilla, it doesn't matter because it's just a solid freaking film.
so good story, good acting, good storyline.
It's everything. And now here's the other thing. The budget reportedly was between 15 and 35 million. That's it.
Wow.
And that is a huge slap in the
Potential.
face, spit in the face of Hollywood because they're flopping left and right lately with these 250 million, 300 million bloated, shitty ass woke projects that nobody gives a shit about, right? Like that new
Right.
Indiana Jones that nobody watched and the Marvels
I didn't even know they came out with
because they're
any
so out of
Indiana
touch with their
Jones.
audience. So they just pump all this money in it just so they can make like 30 million in the first weekend. Meanwhile, Godzilla comes out, 15 million. None of that pretentious bullshit. And it's just a good fucking movie. And it's already like the word of mouth, the perfect Rotten Tomato score and audience score is like unheard of. And for the fact that it had this low of a budget and it's like not only the best Godzilla movie ever made, it's the best movie of the year.
Well, you're
Best
saying
movie
that
of
with
the
some passion, Donnie. So
yeah.
I think you sold me. I think I'm gonna have to go see it.
The thing is, it's limited release, so you got to watch it soon. Like either tomorrow. Like I'm serious, Rob. I'm dead freaking serious. Go to the movie theater tomorrow if you got time,
Yeah,
or like this weekend, and just watch it. I watched it day one by myself on my day off. I took the
yeah.
day off of work just to watch it, and dude, it was fucking worth it, man.
Did you go in the
It was,
morning or afternoon? You get to
I went
catch
in
the
the afternoon.
matinee. Yeah.
Yeah, it was fucking good, man. It was one of the best movies I've seen in a
How long
long
is it?
fucking time.
I also am a fan of an hour of a 2 hour
Oh, and
movie
the thing
too.
is, it's all subtitled. It's a straight from Japan release. Straight from Japan. So none of that, yeah. So it's all gonna be subtitled. It's all just Japanese,
Oh, okay.
but it's so good. Man,
Well,
it's good
I'll have to look it up.
because it takes place during World War II,
Okay.
and the main character, the main protagonist, is a kamikaze pilot because you know how the kamikazes did in Japan. And this takes place in Japan like right after America dropped the nuclear bombs on them.
Oh,
On
wow. Okay. Well,
Hiroshima
that's
and Nagasaki, and they're just picking up the pieces, and then Godzilla shows up, and you're just like, what the fuck? It's a pretty
that
gnarly
does,
movie.
that does sound kind of interesting. Now that
Yeah,
you told me about
and
that.
you got to watch it soon because it's getting out of theaters. And I will send you the trailer after the show, Rob. I will
Okay.
send
Yeah.
it to you.
Do that. I'll check that out. No, it sounds interesting.
And then look
Honestly.
up the reviews because all over YouTube it's just the best movie of the year, best Godzilla movie ever made. All reviews, just best
Really.
movie of the
Okay.
year, best Godzilla movie ever made.
I'm
And it's
definitely going to check
embarrassing.
it out.
It's so embarrassing to Hollywood, and I love it.
Well, Hollywood is really
It's crap. It's all
that's a whole
crap these
yeah,
days.
that's
It's
a whole
all
nother
bullshit.
show, man. Yeah.
I mean, look at how Disney's been cratering. I can't believe the state that Disney's in after what it was once. Like
Hmm.
how do you guys fall this hard? Damn. Like people don't even want to show up to your parks anymore. Sad.
That is sad. That is really. And didn't they were they owned by Sony and Sony sold them, correct?
No, they were no. They did buy up Fox though.
Okay, is that what it
Yeah,
was?
yeah.
But I
And
know
they're
they made a
losing.
business move that really, and then everything turned south. Is
Did
that
you know
correct?
that in the box office alone, Disney lost like $1.5 billion this year, just in this
Oh,
year,
jeez.
in terms of flops. flop after flop from each studio. Star Wars sucks. Pixar sucks. The Marvels suck now. Like, how do you guys suck this bad?
Yeah.
It's amazing. But then Godzilla comes along and it restores your faith in humanity.
Yep. Well, I'm gonna have to check that out because it does sound interesting, especially that budget, 35 million. That's a drop in a bucket. They're spending
Compared to like 350 million of this last Indiana Jones that nobody watched.
Yeah.
Did you have any interest in watching that?
I didn't even know that the last Indiana Jones was out. I liked the first.
Did you watch
I
Did you watch Crystal Skull?
I saw 1 and 2, and I lost interest after that.
You never saw Last Crusade with Sean Connery?
I did like that one. Was it what
Yeah.
number was that?
That was 3.
Okay.
Number 2
was
was Temple of Doom.
There was one I didn't like where he was running around with some secretary or some prim and proper lady who couldn't, get a break a nail, and they're running through the jungle. I didn't
Temple of Doom with Short Round.
Yeah, I didn't really like that one.
Dude, that was my favorite one, man.
Oh, really?
Short Round was awesome.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I thought it was.
You're not very. Rob, what was the last good movie you watched?
Last night I saw Jaws.
No, the last good recent movie that. No, not a classic that you've seen multiple times. Like a newer movie that you've seen recently that you were like, damn.
Okay, I'm gonna have to think hard on this, Donnie, because I don't frequent the movies, and I'm even trying to think about anything on Netflix, which I think are crappy. I'm really gonna think hard on I've been thinking my last theater movie, and trust me, I'm thinking hard. I think it was the last Jamie Lee Curtis, Michael Myers movie.
Ah, yeah.
That was pretty good.
You thought it was good?
It was okay.
I like Jamie Lee Curtis. Yeah. I like her as an actress and as a person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, both. And I did like her in Halloween 1.
How would you rank Michael Myers compared to like a Jason or a Freddy? Like, would you say he's scarier, less scary?
When you bring Freddy into the equation, that's a different level of scared entering your mind and your dreams. Michael Myers and Jason. See, I like Friday the 13th. I liked 1 and 2, but once they got to Jason Takes Manhattan, Jason ends up on a UFO. I mean, come on, So I think, but with Halloween 2, they got pretty crazy. I liked all the movies with Donald Pleasance, and after he got killed off, that was it. Now, if you really just want gore and shock, it's the Rob Zombie, Jason Halloween movies that are very pretty gruesome and violent. But I liked the original with what's the guy's name? John Carpenter. And he's one of my favorite directors too, John Carpenter.
Oh, he directed one of the greatest movies of all time, Big Trouble in Little China.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people didn't even know that because they associate him with Halloween.
And he did They Live, another one of my all-time favorites.
I like that movie. I saw that.
Yeah. Did you ever get into the Hellraiser movies?
I did, but I haven't seen them in such a long time. Pinhead.
Yeah.
I was too young, I think, and I was confused and didn't understand it.
I always thought the concept was interesting.
Yeah.
The idea of it I thought was intriguing. How about this? Critters. Do you remember Critters?
I remember. What was it? Refresh me really quick. Just give me a couple.
They were the furry ones, but then they had like spiked quills that would shoot out. I don't know.
I'm sure I had to have seen it.
And then they had the bounty hunters come.
What do you think about Tremors? It's kind of a comedy.
Kevin Bacon it's so entertaining and it holds up.
It is kind of entertaining.
And it holds up.
Dumb. Yeah.
because I see that. I used to watch. I remember watching it show up like back when I had cable. You know how it would show up every now and then on like TNT, and then
Yeah.
you'd be flipping through the channel like Saturday afternoon, and you'd be like, "Oh shit, Tremors on! I might as well, right? There's nothing else on." You just kind of sit there,
Mhm.
you're like, "Holy shit, I'm kind of entertained right now."
You
Right?
know, I
It's one of those movies that's just like, yeah, straight up entertaining.
yeah, if I'm flipping through and there's nothing on and that's on, yeah, I at least watch until the commercial.
There are certain stupid movies that are still entertaining and still hold up. Like,
Yeah.
okay, here's another example. Jean-Claude Van Damme's Bloodsport still holds up. I could
Yeah, I
watch
never
that
s
right
I
now.
yeah, I didn't see that one.
The
I
original
was
RoboCop still holds up.
That's pretty good. I wasn't a very big Jean-Claude Van Damme fan.
Oh yeah, I used to love me some Jean-Claude.
I never was a big fan of the other guy either that Tex likes. The big tall
Steven
guy.
Seagal?
Yeah. I
Oh
like,
no, he sucks.
you know, I think he's a shitty actor.
Yeah, so much missed potential with him. Anyway, I think we've gone on long enough. Rob, what do you think?
Yeah, I got something caught in my eye for the last
Oh,
5 minutes. I don't
uh,
know what it is, but yeah, no, I had a lot of fun. I'm glad
yeah,
that
this is
we did
fun.
this.
So yeah, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this one. And how's my audio today? Was it fucked up?
It was good. No, it sounds perfect. Better than last
Okay,
time.
cool. Yeah, guys, I had to upgrade a little bit, not a lot bit. My setup is still pretty shitty, but it's slightly less shitty. But thankfully, we figured it out. All right, folks. See ya.
All
Bye.
right, see you. Bye, everybody. Good to see y'all.